All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Headline Hits with LW. Today is Wednesday, January 19th, 2022. Hope you all are having a good hump day. Let's get right into it. I wanted to bring up the incident that happened at UCLA this week. Very unfortunate tragedy, honestly. And I wanted to give you a little bit of background on the suspect. So, suspect identified in the stabbing of Brianna Cooper and is out on a $1,000 bail. So, this guy has got a very long record history of crime, and I just wanted to spotlight it a little bit to tell you what we're up against. So, a suspect has been identified in the murder of 24-year-old UCLA design student Brianna Kofer, 31-year-old Sean Lavin Smith. Sean Smith, there is a $250,000 reward has been offered for the capture of Smith, who the police considered armed and dangerous. He will likely be using public transportation. So if this suspect still isn't apprehended, then I would just strongly suggest use caution, call the police. Don't try to be anybody's hero. According to the Los Angeles County record, Smith had a criminal record and was free on $1,000 bail from October of 2022 from a misdemeanor arrest, and that was per the Daily Mail. It goes on to say that the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department records list Smith is currently free and on $1,000 bail from a misdemeanor arrest in 2020 in October. And the reason why he's still out is because of the sickness. The sickness really threw a wrench into the justice system, courts, and all that stuff. We know a lot of dates were pushed back. A lot of people, it's just been prolonged. He is also, so it says Smith is also currently free on a $50,000 bond in Charleston, South Carolina, in relation to a November 2019 arrest, suspicion of firing a weapon into an occupied vehicle, according to the court records. An indictment in that case has been handed down on March 16th of 2020, but because of the sickness, it has paralyzed the courts and really just pushed everything back. So it says that Smith allegedly stabbed Brianna last week at a Croft House furniture store in Hancock Park, where she worked while studying design at UCLA. The upscale neighborhood was considered relatively safe until recently. Prior to the stabbing, Kofer texted a friend saying she got a bad vibe from a man who just entered the store, and the friend did not immediately see the text at the time. So, it's very unfortunate. What a tragedy, snuffing a very young, talented person from society because of criminal acts, because of these people that, in my opinion, find loopholes in the system. And we got to realize that the Democratic Party, and yes, I will say it, the Democratic Party is all about not not wanting to prosecute these people. They want to defund the police, and they want to let criminals out, and they want to allow criminals in prisons and jails to have voting rights to vote for them. That's a fact. That's a fact, Jack. All right, let's go on to the next headline. Congressional generic ballot has GOP up 9 points on Democrats. So I'm not going to read all of this, but basically it's a poll that they've done. I don't believe in all the poll numbers. I think a lot of them lie, especially you've seen the last two voting cycles for president. Those polls were not even anywhere close to being truthful. But let's talk about Ramsman, the report. In 2022 midterm elections are now 294 days away. Now, I want to just let you guys know We have less than 300 days before midterms, and I really think that we need to roll up our sleeves, go to work, help support and promote um, great conservative candidates for these positions. Let's all get out there and vote and make a difference. Okay, so it goes on to say that Republicans may maintain a strong lead for their bid to recapture control of Congress. It goes into all the specifics and all the different percentages and who are they likely to vote for, blah blah blah. Um, Again, I just wanted to tell you guys that we're less than 300 days away. We really need to get involved at our local levels. So anyway, it's just a poll that states that they believe the Republicans have a very strong lead right now, and it's basically theirs to lose if they don't deliver. So I know that they're trying to work on a deal for America like Newt Gingrich did back in the early '90s, and I don't know. Are they going to make a bunch of promises they don't keep, or are they going to make a bunch of promises that they do keep? We'll have to keep an eye on that and see what happens. All right, next headline. Markey, I believe that's how you say the last name. Filibuster is racist in its origin. It's racist in its intent. So I read this entire article that they put out Tuesday on MSNBC, Haley Jackson report, and it goes into to talk about the filibuster and how it's racist. They need all 60 Democrats to step up and vote so they can try to eliminate it. They've got 50 ready to go. They need 10 Republicans that'll join their movement here to get rid of the filibuster. And I can tell you right now, if any one of you Republicans out there vote for this, you will be gone. And I mean that by getting your rear ends voted out of office. If you vote for this, I will spotlight it. We will share it out, and you will be gone. So you better stand up to this crap and do the right thing. So we need 60 votes to protect voting rights. And what are they talking about? I'm going to get to it here in a minute. We have 50 Democrats ready to go. Every Democrat is ready to protect writing votes. We need 10 Republicans. We can't find Republicans to back the voting right. Stop the suppression of the votes in state to state, red state after red state, where red state legislatures make it more difficult for black and brown people to vote. Now, if that's not a bunch of horse manure, I don't know what is. And that is their agenda. This is what they're trying to push. They're trying to make it sound like we don't want minorities to vote. No, not at all. That is the furthest thing from the truth. We want all United States legal citizens to vote. They have the right to vote, but what we're asking for is for them to prove who they are and to clean up the mess of 2020. Um, so he goes on further to say that this is all the Trump Republican Party's fault, and that we're trying to suppress people, and that they're trying to. I've said this 100 times, and I'll say it another 100 times. Whenever they want to try to attack us, the first play in the old Democratic playbook is it's racist. Prove me wrong on that one. All right, next headline. I thought I'd bring this up because I haven't heard from this guy in quite a while, but Bernie Sanders is in the news, and he is talking about the filibuster. So Bernie Sanders opens to primary Joe Manchin and Christine Sinema over not breaking filibuster. Okay, so what is this about? I'll just paraphrase it for you real quick. I'm not going to read down through it. So Bernie Sanders was asked by a reporter if he would support them primarying Joe Manchin, a Democrat from West Virginia, and Christine Sinema, a Democrat from Arizona, because they don't support abolishing the filibuster. They're two Democrats that say, hell no, we're not going to do this. It's unethical. We need to filibuster, so they don't have the support that they need and the votes to demise this, to get rid of it. So old Bernie says, yeah, I think what they should do is primary these two candidates. What does that mean? That means they hold a primary to try to find a different Democratic candidate to support and vote these guys out. So even in their own party, if you don't follow their agenda, if you don't follow along their lines, if you have a difference of opinion, they want you gone. And that's how a lot of people are nowadays. If you don't believe like they do, they just want to attack you. They just want you gone. They just want to destroy you, however possibly they can. So Manchin goes on record to say, "Go ahead, bring it." He goes, "I've been primarying my entire career, so bring it. This is nothing new to me. If you're feeling froggy, then jump." And he's calling them out, saying, "Let's do it." So more on the filibuster. We really got to pay attention to that because that's a big deal to us. And if that goes away, we're in some serious trouble. So we really need to reach out to all of our congressmen, our senators, email them, phone call them, say, this, you better stand up to the filibuster. You better do your job. That's what we voted you in for. This is our wishes. And if you vote against it, then we're gonna remove you. All right, let's hit the next headline. Now, I reported on this book last week. It's Red Handed. It's Peter Schweitzer, and it's talking about Biden, Hunter Biden, Pelosi, Elon Musk, LeBron James, Bill Gates, and the rest of them all caught red handed with their hand in the cookie jar with promoting and pushing China's agenda. So, Representative Bill Posey, I pre-ordered multiple copies of Peter Schweitzer's Red Handed. He goes on to say in a Washington Post article here that he doesn't want to be without a copy. And what he does is he goes out and he buys quite a few of them, and he hands them out to people. He thinks it's full of great information. Um, and he is Florida's 8th congressional district senator, and he sits on the House of Science, Space, and Technology Committee. I just thought it was pretty interesting. And even Sean Hannity got in there and said that Red Handed's revelations are going to be massive. So it's kind of like an information drop, in my opinion. He's had several bestsellers, New York Times bestsellers. I think he's had about 6 of them. Yeah, he's written 6 New York Times bestsellers, and some of them have led to the Uranium One scandal. If you guys remember that insider trading scandal by members of Congress that led to the passage and bipartisan stock, the Stop Trade on Congress Knowledge Act. That was in Big Ears President Obama's term, and it became law in 2012. And he also shined light on the Clinton Foundation scandal, which also turned into an FBI investigation. So I plan on trying to grab me a copy of this and read up on it and see what's in there because I find it very interesting, and I think it's going to shine some light on some people. And I know we already know a lot about it, but I think this is going to be a little bit different. All right, next headline. I like to talk about Hills Up here. She's struggling. She's having a hard time. So, Kamala Hills Up Harris struggled to define herself after 2 difficult resets. And what are they talking about? Well, the VP, Hills Up, has reportedly struggled to define herself as vice president after failing to fulfill political promises in 2021. After conducting 2 difficult policy resets in 2 months, Harris is taking heat for failing to enact the destruction of the election integrity measures, along with difficult other tasks that President Joe Biden has given him. And if you remember, she was also supposed to be the border czar. She was supposed to go down there and deal with the border crisis. And what happened was she showed up about 750 miles north of that border and did nothing. She actually got on another plane and went to South America. And now she's wanting to give South America $308 billion to build their economy. And we're talking about places like Honduras, um, Guatemala. She wants to give them billions and billions of dollars to recreate and restructure their economy so that they will quit fleeing to America. That's how we solve this problem, folks. Just so you know. She's also she's had failure after failure. So why am I pointing this out? Well, I'm pointing this out because this entire administration has been an absolute dumpster fire and failure. Even her own staffers are running from her. They're leaving, or they're hitting the exit door as quickly as they possibly can. And I'll give you a handful of quotes that these staffers have said on record as they're leaving. Now, these are quotes, so just forewarning you. Harris political rehabilitation came on the cusp of staffer departures, and these are some of the comments that they have made on their way out the door. Out of sync, quote, poorly managed, quote, um, often abusive environment, quote, shit show, quote, it reeks of unhealthy environment where people, quote, often feel mistreated, quote, and shit, quote. Those are quotes. Despite the challenges of her current position, Harris, who earned the title of the least, not most, but least popular vice president since the 1970s. It also goes on to say that it's been rumored to desire the presidency of 2024. Okay, why am I bringing this up? Well, Biden is a dumpster fire. His entire administration is. And now she's possibly seeking a bid for 2024. Then you've got Hillary in there, who's also, I think, going to seek a bid for 2024. So they're already, I mean, if this guy is the most popular president, got the most votes of all time, why are other people seeking to dethrone him 3 years from now? I find that very, very, very interesting. It also goes on to say that when questioned in December if she speaks to Biden about the presidential 2024 plans, that she hasn't. I'll be honest, I don't think about it, nor have I talked to him about it. End quote. It also goes on to say that in 2019, Harris left the Democrat primary as a failed presidential candidate. Then she comes into this administration and she fails again, failure after failure after failure. She got a whopping 15%, peaking at 15% of Democrats' support during the 2019 campaign. All right, moving on to the next headline. I'm just gonna go over this one pretty quick. The U.S. athletes face mounting dangers in Beijing as Blinken wastes no time in Ukraine. So this article talks about the boycott of the Winter Olympics, 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, China. That's starting February 4th, goes through like till February 22nd or 21st, something like that. They talk about, now listen to this. This is pretty interesting. They talk about the athletes are in some danger and risk due to poor security features on mobile phone applications. So the Chinese Communist Party is requiring all athletes to download a specific app on their phones so that they could be tracked. Now, people are advising them to get burner phones to take to China with them and to leave their other phones, their regular phones at home. Take these burner phones, download the app, use the app, be tracked, and then as you're leaving China, throw it in file 13 right in the dumpster. Get rid of it, leave it there where it belongs. It's just really crazy how the governments of the world want to track us and control every move, whether we breathe, not breathe. I mean, it's insanity. Goes on to talk about the problems with Ukraine, um, and Blinken having more concern about the stuff going on in the Ukraine than he does in China and for the athletes of the Olympics, the 2022 Olympics. Goes on even further to say how the president of Ukraine had reached out to the Biden administration several times, and the Biden administration shrugged him off. He was asking this last summer for restrictions and sessions put on Ukraine or on Russia from the United States, and Biden totally ignored it and let the pipeline go in, and he was not happy about it. He even had a face-to-face he asked a face-to-face meeting with Biden, and he kept putting it off. Biden finally had him to the White House, and all he wanted to talk about was climate change. Yeah, can't make this stuff up. All right, last two headlines of the day. Let's talk about Senate Democrats predict Maverick Garland will prosecute Mr. T over the J6. So I read this entire article, and it's talking about the new Attorney General Garland, who could prosecute former Mr. T on the January 6th Capitol riots. Oh, they say they have all the evidence. Have you heard that before? Have you heard that term before? We have all the evidence. We've caught them. We got all their evidence. Well, that's what the Democrats are claiming for the J6 event. They want to prosecute people more than just breaking windows. Now, I agree. Anybody who vandalized that place or broke into there uninvited, um, keyword uninvited, I think they should be prosecuted. They should have to pay for destroying public property for sure. If they came in uninvited, keyword uninvited, they should be prosecuted for trespassing. But a lot of the videos I looked at, the door was open from the inside. It's locked from the inside. So obviously, if the door was locked, somebody had to unlock it on the inside. And I saw officers waving people in. So was it trespassing? I don't know. That's up to them to decide. But they are saying that it is very possible that they may indict Mr. T and try to prosecute him for this. But here's a key quote from an anonymous senator on the Hill that won't go on record saying this. If you pull the trigger on this one, and you have to make sure that you don't miss, because this is one that if you miss will essentially validate the conduct. So they're afraid. Remember impeachment hoax number one and impeachment hoax number two. They missed the mark. They had nothing on him. He was exonerated. And so if they try to do this one here, I don't know. It could be another nail in the coffin for the Democrats, to be honest with you. All right, here is the final headline hit of the day. I found this one very concerning, something that I'm going to pay attention to. But old Peppermint Patty, circle back, Jen, is putting statements out there that is alarming, to be honest with you. White House, Russia could launch attack on Ukraine at any point. The White House raised more concerns about the future of Ukraine on Tuesday as Russians amass troops at the border. White House press secretary circled back, raised the alarm during the daily briefing. We believe we're now at a stage where Russia could at any point launch an attack on Ukraine, Circleback says. We would say that that's more stark than we have ever been. President Biden has repeatedly talked tough with Russian President Vladimir Putin about Ukraine, but tensions continue to rise over Russia's decision to deploy troops in the region. They're now up to 100,000 troops. I don't think Putin really gives a rip on this administration, to be honest with you. And he's not afraid of them. Now, I think T had a great relationship with him, but with this administration, I don't think there's anything there, to be honest with you. So Russia began to evacuate families and staff from their diplomatic locations in Ukraine, and indication that they plan to accelerate activity in Russia, says the New York Times. Our view is that this is extremely dangerous situation that came from Circle Back. And she also said that the Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, would meet with the Russian counterpart in Switzerland this week to urge Putin not to invade Ukraine and warn of a severe consequences if they choose to do so. No option is left off the table, end quote from Circle Back. So I don't know. Things are still kind of dicey over there in Russia and the Ukraine border. Something to pay attention to and look at, and we'll just have to keep an eye on it because I don't know. I guess if they go in there and start invading, what is this administration going to do? Are they going to send peacekeepers? Is the UN going to make a move? We know that the UN is engaged right now. How far I don't know, but they're over there doing their UN crap. So I don't think Putin is worried about the UN or the United States, to be honest with you. So anyway, that's the headline hits for today. Don't forget 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. We will be on Podbean. I did Alan and he fixed my mic for me yesterday, so we'll be able to go on Podbean this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. Have a great day. We'll catch you later.